Hello there, I'm that Gaymer guy, and this week we're once again discussing film favourites. This is part 2 of my Noughties Oscar film favourites. So if you haven't seen part 1, go and watch that. I think the link will appear there somewhere, but I'll also leave the link down below. But if you can't be bothered to watch the first part, then basic summary. These are my favourite Best Picture Oscar nominated films of the noughties. So let's get into it. So we're going to be starting this part off with 2004. 2004's Best Picture winner and my favourite is $1 Million Baby. So generally when it comes to sports films I struggle to pay attention. So a sports film has to be really interesting for me to enjoy it. I think probably the reason that I like this film so much is that it looks at sports from a woman's perspective as opposed to most other sports films which tend to be very male dominated. And on a complete side note, some of my friends are of the opinion that I look like Hilary Swank, specifically Hilary Swank in Boys Don't Cry. What do you think? I'm almost definitely going to regret pointing that similarity out. Moving on to 2003 and the era of Middle-earth begins. 2003's winner was Lord of the Rings: Return of the King. Return of the King is a satisfying, albeit a little bit too long conclusion to the Lord of the Rings trilogy, and whilst it was nice for the trilogy to finally get the recognition it deserved, this is not my favourite nominee, nor is it my favourite Lord of the Rings film. No, instead my favourite nominee is Lost in Translation. Directed by Sofia Coppola, the daughter of Francis Ford Coppola, Lost in Translation is a near-perfect film. This is an incredibly unconventional love story, but one that really works. In my opinion, it's Bill Murray's best performance in anything. Come to think of it, same goes for Scarlett Johansson, and it is just a very pretty film. I think it's enough to make anyone want to visit Japan. If I die without karaokeing in Tokyo, then life failed. It's no future. It is not dreaming. 2002 now, and the Best Picture winner was Chicago. Now, I love musicals and I do like Chicago, but I have to say that I'm really surprised that this actually won Best Picture. Not only is it rare in the modern era for musicals to win the award, I don't think Chicago's that good. My favourite nominee of 2002 is Gangs of New York.
Apologies, my dear. Pick it up. Whoopsie daisy!
Controversial, but Gangs of New York is my favourite Martin Scorsese film of the noughties. The story is thrilling, the setting is incredible. I really struggle to wrap my head around the facts that it's inspired by true events. 19th century USA was mental. In fact, if it wasn't for Cameron Diaz's awful performance, then this may well be my favourite Martin Scorsese. Then this may have been my favourite Martin Scorsese film, but that accent.
Oh, I ain't started working yet.
2001's Best Picture winner was A Beautiful Mind. I love this film. It is one of the best, if not the best, biographical film, biopic, call it what you want. It is very good. But once again, it is not my favourite nominee. Instead, that honour goes to Lord of the Rings: The Fellowship of the Ring. Yes, Fellowship is my favourite Middle-earth film, in part because it is the shortest of the three, but mostly because it centres on one narrative with all the characters together, whereas in Two Towers and Return of the King, mainly Two Towers, you can go 30-40 minutes without even seeing Frodo. I think where Return of the King is a satisfying conclusion to the trilogy, Fellowship is a more than satisfying introduction.
Shall not pass!
Also, I have to give an honourable mention for this year, as Moulin Rouge was this close to being my favourite. And finally, we reached the year 2000, the turn of the millennium. The Best Picture winner of this year was Gladiator. There's no denying Gladiator is an incredible film. I think it's just one of those films that's universally well regarded, but it's not my favourite. My favourite nominee of 2000 is Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. This is actually Ang Lee's second appearance on my favourites list after Brokeback Mountain, which I guess makes him one of my favourite directors without me even realising it. Growing up, I watched a lot of martial arts films, particularly Jackie Chan films, and have consequently always been in awe of the dance-like nature of fight choreography. and Crouching Tiger takes that and elevates it. It features a fantasy style of martial arts known as wuxia. Apologies, as I'm almost definitely saying that wrong. The visuals are amazing, the score is amazing, and without even speaking Mandarin, I can tell that the acting is also amazing. What is interesting is that Ang Lee actually made the film with a Western audience in mind. Some people argue that this detracts from the film's validity as a martial arts film, but to those people I say... And with that, we finished the decade. Now, I was going to choose my favourite film of the 10 that I've mentioned and have one overall Oscar film favourite of the Noughties, but the stress of choosing just one of those films proved to be too much. So we're just going to settle with all 10. But please feel free to leave your Noughties Oscar film favourites down in the comments. And with that, I'll say goodbye. Please like and subscribe if you want to see more. I also write a gaming blog, which I'll leave a link to down below. And if there's anything gaming, geek or LGBT related that you'd like me to discuss in a future video, then please leave your suggestions down in the comments. I guess it's time for me to make a start on 90s Oscar films, so same time next year. For now, I hope to see you guys next time, but until then...
Now taking the homage toy